Hello friends, welcome to Prashant IAS. So friends, in the last class, we have discussed about some of the unitary features of the Indian Constitution. And in this class, we will continue our discussion further. So friends, we have already discussed about 6 unitary features of the Indian Constitution, and in this class, we will continue our discussion with the 7th unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. So friends, under Article 248, residuary powers of the law making belongs to Parliament. Now what does it mean? So what are residuary powers? So friends, in the previous classes also, I have explained you about the residuary powers. So I have told you that India is a federation. So India is a federation means there is a distribution of power between center and states. There are 3 lists: union list, concurrent list and state list. So Parliament is authorized to make law on union list. State legislatures can make law on state list, and Parliament and state legislature both can make law on concurrent list. But friends, what is residuary list? So residuary subjects are those subjects which are not included in union list, state list or concurrent list. Okay, so what are residuary subjects or residuary powers? So residuary powers or residuary subjects are those subjects which are not included in union list, state list or concurrent list. Now what does it mean? So friends, now why they are not included in any of the list? So now question arises that why the residuary subjects are not included in any of the list. So friends, the answer to this question is that when Constitution was made, okay, so I will explain it to you with the help of an example. So friends, when our Constitution was made, then the union, at that point of time, union list was made, state list was made and concurrent list was made, and these 3 lists were put under the Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. So these 3 lists are given under the Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. So friends, what happened that residuary subjects are those subjects which are not present at the time when Constitution was made. Okay, so residuary subjects are those subjects which are not present at the time when Constitution was made, and in the future they emerges suddenly. So now what does it mean? So I will explain it to you with the help of an example. So friends, we all know that our Constitution was enacted on 26th of November 1949. Okay, so when our Constitution was made, we all know that there was no internet, there were no computers. So obviously there was no cybercrime. Okay, so there were no computers, there was no internet, so definitely there were no cyber crimes. But friends, what happened in the future? What happened in the future? That computers came, internet came, and along with the computers and internet, cyber crime started. Okay, so need was arised to make law to control the cyber crime. Now there was a question that cybercrime is not a subject of state list. Cybercrime is not a subject of union list. Cybercrime is not a subject of concurrent list. So now who will make law for the cybercrime? So now friends, Parliament has the power to make law on the residuary subjects. So cyber law was a residuary subject. So Parliament had the power to make the law on residuary subject. Okay, so residuary subjects are those subjects which were not present at the time when Constitution was made, or when these 3 lists were made: union list, state list and concurrent list, and these subjects emerges suddenly in the future. Okay, so who has the power to make law on this residuary list? So definitely Parliament has the power to make law on the residuary subjects. So here also Parliament has an edge. Parliament is more powerful. States are not allowed to make law on residuary list. Parliament has the power to make law on residuary list. Now friends, after that what happens that initially Parliament has the power to make law on residuary list, but later on this residuary subject can be put in any of the list. state list, union list or concurrent list by the approval of parliament and 50% of the state legislature. Okay, so later on it can be put in any list by parliament and 50% of the state legislature. Okay, so this is again a unitary feature of the Indian Constitution because this feature makes center more powerful. Now friends, we will see the 8th unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. So friends, under Article 256 and 257, central government has the power to issue the administrative directions or executive order to the state governments, including the directions as how to maintain the railway property and other means of communication. Now what does it mean? So friends, it means that central government has the power to dictate the state governments to do certain tasks. Okay, means central government has the power to give orders to the state governments. Central government has the power to give orders to the state governments to do certain tasks. For example, suppose Maharashtra is a state. Okay, suppose Maharashtra is a state and railway is a subject of union list. Okay, so Maharashtra is a state and railway is a subject of union list. But friends, the railway line is spread across entire country. The railway line is very big. The railway line is spread across all the states and entire country. Okay, so now suppose railway lines are faulty in Maharashtra. Okay, railway line are faulty in Maharashtra. They are destroyed due to some or the other reason. We don't know why they were destroyed, but suppose railway lines are destroyed. Now, central government has the power to give order to the state government that please get these, that central government, what central government will say? Central government will give order to the state government that you go and get this railway line repaired as soon as possible. Okay, so central government has the power to give order, direction to the state governments. Now what central government will do? Central government will simply give order to the state government that you go and just get the railway line repaired as soon as possible. Okay, now friends, these directions or the orders are binding on the states, and if ignored, center can dismiss the state government under Article 365. Now what does it mean? It means that state governments do not have the power to ignore these orders. These orders are binding on the state governments. State governments are duty bound to complete the task given by the center. Okay, so state governments cannot ignore the orders given by the central government. And if they ignores the order given by the central government, then central government has the power to dismiss the state government. Dismiss the state government means to remove the state government, to punish the state government. And under which article? Under Article 365. So please try to remember that if state governments ignore the order given by central government, okay, then central government can dismiss the state governments under Article 365. So this can be asked as a question in your prelims. So please try to remember this, that central government has the power under Article 365 to dismiss the state governments. Now friends, please do not get confused between Article 356 and Article 365. They are different articles. Under Article 356, under Article 356, central government can dismiss the state government, but the ground is different. What is the ground? The ground is the failure of constitutional machinery. What is the meaning of the failure of constitutional machinery? It means that if the state government is not working as per the provisions of the constitution. Okay, so if state government is not working as per the provisions of the constitution, then central government has the power to impose precedent rule on that state, and central government has the power to dismiss the state government. But Article 365 is different, and because it is little bit confusing, that's why it can be asked in prelims. Okay, because UPSC targets such questions which can confuse the aspirants. So please make sure that you are very clear between Article 356 and Article 365. So what is Article 365? So under Article 365, what happens that central government can dismiss the state government. Central government has the power to dismiss the state government under Article 365, but the ground is different. Okay, but the ground is different. What is the ground? The ground is that, what is the ground? The ground is that if state governments ignore the directions given by the central government. Okay, so grounds are different. Under Article 356, central government can dismiss the state government if constitutional machinery has failed in the state. But under Article 365, central government can dismiss the state governments if state government ignores the orders of the central government. Okay, so please try to remember this. Now friends, let's move further to the ninth unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. So what is the ninth unitary feature of the Indian Constitution? So friends, we all know that who is the head of India? President is the head of India. Okay, President is the constitutional head of India. Now friends, we all know that India is a federation. So India has states. For example, Madhya Pradesh is a state, UP is a state, Bihar is a state. So who is the head of state? Okay, so similarly, as president is the head of entire India, governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, so there is a separate governor for MP, who is the head of MP. There is a separate governor for Kerala, who is the head of Kerala. Okay, so who is governor? Governor is the constitutional head of the state. Now friends, the governor of a state is appointed by president who holds office during the pleasure of the president. So according to Article 155 of the Indian Constitution, the governor of any state is appointed by the president. Now what does it mean? It means that who appoints the governor? Governor is appointed by the president. President has the power to appoint the governor. Now friends, this governor holds his office during the pleasure of the president. So now what is the meaning of this line? The meaning of this line is that president has the power to remove the governor. President can remove the governor at any time. President can punish the governor. Okay, even if governor has not done anything wrong, even if his term is not expired, then also president has the power to remove the governor. So president, what is the language? So the language uses that governor holds his office during the pleasure of the president. So pleasure of the president means until president is happy with him. So president has the power to remove him. President can remove him at any time. Even if he has not done anything wrong, then also president can remove him. Okay. Now friends, we know that governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay. Now who is president? President is center. President is the head of the India. President is the head of the India. Okay. Now friends, we all know that the President of India is bound by the advice of Prime Minister and the Council of Minister. And who is Prime Minister and Council of Minister? Prime Minister and Council of Minister are the executive of the central government. Okay, so they are executive or they are the central government. Now friends, we know that governor is appointed by the president and governor can also be removed by the president. Okay, and president appoints the governor and removes the governor on the advice of Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. So indirectly, Union Council of Minister and the Prime Minister controls the appointment and removal of the governor. Means Prime Minister has the power to remove the governor and Prime Minister has the power to appoint the governor. So governor comes under the influence of center. Governor is highly under the influence of center. Why? Because if governor will do anything which is against the wish of central government, then central government has the power to remove him. And central government will only appoint those persons as the governor of the states who are under the influence of central government. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that the office of the governor is highly under the influence of the central government. Why? Because governor is appointed by the president and governor is removed by the president, and president is bound by the advice of prime minister and council of ministers. So indirectly, prime minister has the power to appoint the governor and to remove the governor. Means governor is highly under the influence of prime minister and the council of ministers. Now friends, prime minister and council of ministers means the central government. So central government can easily control the governor. Okay, the governor will do whatever the central government will tell him to do. Okay, so governor will do whatever the central government will dictate him. So now friends, central government can easily control the office of the governor. And by controlling the office of the governor, center can influence the states to a large extent. Why? Because governor is the head of the state, and if you are able to control the head of a state, then definitely you can influence the administration of a state. So central government can easily influence the administration of the state by controlling the office of the governor. Now friends, how central government misuses the office of the governor. So I will explain you with the help of an example. So friends, governor sends a report to the center about the working of the state government in every 15 days. Now what does it mean? It means that it is the duty of the governor to send a detailed report to center about the working of the government in the state. Okay, now friends, central government can pressurize the governor. Why? Because governor is appointed by the central government and governor is removed by the central government. So central government can pressurize the governor. Central government can harass the governor, and they can force the governor to write whatever the central government wants. So friends, suppose even if the governance in the state is very good, the governance in the state is running by the provisions of the constitution. Okay, means constitutional machinery is very well maintained in the state. The governance of the state is running very well by the provisions of the constitution. But then also friends, central government can force the governor. Central government can force the governor to prepare a fake report. Okay, central government can force the governor to prepare a fake report and to write in the report that constitutional machinery has failed in the state, that the governance of the state is not running by the provisions of the constitution, and on the ground of the report of the governor, central government can dismiss the state government and can impose the precedent rule in the state. Okay, so in this way, what happens that central government, by misusing the office of the governor, can influence the administration of the states in a larger extent. Now friends, I will give you one example so that you can understand this concept more clearly, because I understand this concept is little bit technical. So friends, what happened in 1977, that there was the rule of Janata Party in the center. Means there was the government of Janata Party in the center. Okay, now friends, what happened that there was the government of Janata Party in the center, but majority of the states were ruled by the Congress government. Means there was the government of Congress Party in most of the states of India. So what the Janata Party government did, Janata Party government misused the office of the governor. Means the Janata Party government pressurized the governors of the state to send them a fake report, to write in the report that, sir, constitutional machinery has failed in the state. The rule of state is not running by the provisions of the constitution. And governors came under the pressure of the central government, and governors made a fake report. And on the basis of the fake report of the governor, Janata Party government dismissed, means removed, 9 state governments ruled by the Congress. Imagine what a heinous act that was, that Janata Party government dismissed 9 state governments ruled by Congress. Okay, now friends, do not confuse this Janata Party with today's BJP. Bharatiya Janata Party is a different party and Janata Party was a different party. Okay, so in 1977 there was a party named as Janata Party. So it was a different party, and BJP is a different party. So it was not BJP, it was something different party. Now friends, what happened that later on Congress came into power. Means Congress formed the government at the center, and then Congress repeated the same act. Means what Congress did? Congress dismissed exactly 9 state governments ruled by Janata Party. So Congress repeated the same act. So in this way, what happens that central government often misuses the office of the governor and they impose president rule in the state government. Means they impose president rule in the states. Now friends, governor can send any bill to president and president can turn it down. Now what does it mean? It means that governor of the state has the power to send any bill passed by the legislature of the state, means the state legislative assembly. So governor of the state has the power to send any bill, including money bill. Okay, so governor has the power to send any bill passed by the state legislative assembly for the assent of the president, and president can easily turn it down. Okay, so in this way, office of the governor is highly misused and center government can highly influence the administration of the states. Okay. So friends, now let's move further to the 10th unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. So friends, there is an office named as CAG or Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Okay, so what is CAG? CAG means Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and the short form of Comptroller and Auditor General of India is CAG or CAG. Now friends, CAG audits the accounts of union as well as the state governments. Now what does it mean that he audits the account? So what is the meaning of the word that he audits the account of the government? So friends, it means that he checks for the balance of money coming in and going out. That is the wastage of money if any. So what does it mean? It means that he checks for the balance of money coming in and going out. So let me explain you it in a better way. So friends, we all know that in a given year, government earns a lot of money. Means government has a huge income. Government has many sources of revenue. Okay. Now friends, we also know that government spends a lot of money. Means government also does expenditure. For example, government does expenditure in the welfare work, in healthcare facilities, in education, in constructing highways. Okay, so it means that government has an income and government has expenditure. Means government earns the money and government spends the money. Now friends, what this CAG does, that this office, means this CAG, audits the accounts of the government. Means this office known as CAG checks the income account of the government and expenditure account of the government. Means CAG checks for the income account of the government, means how much money the government has earned in a given year, and CAG checks the expenditure account of the government, means how much money government has spent in a given year. And friends, he checks whether if there is a scam or a hoopla in the accounts of the government. Okay, so what CAG does? CAG checks the income account of the government and CAG checks the expenditure account of the government, means how much money government has earned in a year and how much money government has spent in a year. Okay, and he checks if there is any scam or hoopla or if there is any scam or hoopla or fault in the accounts of the government. Okay, so in simple words, what is the work of the CAG? So the work of the CAG is to check the income account of the government, means how much money government has earned in a given year, and to see if there is any scam or hoopla in the account. Okay, similarly, CAG also checks the expenditure account of the government, means how much money government has spent in a given year, and if there is any scam or hoopla in the account, in the expenditure account of the government. Okay, now friends, I will give you an example so that you can understand it very clearly. Now friends, we all know that once India hosted the Olympic Games. Okay, so when India hosted the Olympic Games, then what happened? That Indian officers, means Indian bureaucrats, were the in charge of all the management. Okay, means some officers were in charge of decoration, some were in charge of food, some were in charge of welcoming the guest. Okay, similarly, for example, if there is any function in your house, for example, if there any marriage function in your house, then all the work is distributed within your siblings and relatives. For example, your brother is assigned to welcome the guest. Okay, you are assigned to prepare the food. You are or your one of your sibling is assigned to see the decoration of the house. Okay, so the entire work is distributed within the members. So what happened that when India hosted the Olympic Games, then the entire management of the Olympic Games, was seen as the bureaucracy of India, Indian civil servants. Okay, so friends, what happened that some civil servants means some officers were in charge of the decoration, some were in charge of the catering. Okay, so friends, what happened, suppose there is a commodity. Okay, there is a commodity, for example, there is a flower pot. Now the cost of the flower pot in market is around 100 rupees, 200 rupees. Okay, so what is the cost of flower pot in the market? So we can say that, sir, at max it can be 200 rupees. But imagine when CAG checked the account of the government, they charged 2000 rupees for a single flower pot. Okay, so I just want to explain you that imagine the height of corruption, imagine the height of scam, that they were charging 2000 rupees for a commodity whose market price is only 200 rupees. Okay, so this is the work of the CAG, to see whether there is any scam in the expenditure of the government, whether there is any scam in the income of the government. Okay, so now I hope you all must have understood it very clearly that what is the work of the CAG. Okay, now friends, this officer means Comptroller and Auditor General of India is appointed by the President of India, and he is removed by him with the approval of Parliament. Now what does it mean? What does it signify? So it signifies that center has a huge influence in the working of CAG also. Why? Because who is appointing the CAG? President is appointing the CAG. President has the power to appoint the CAG. Okay, and who has the power to remove him? So definitely President has the power to remove him, and President needs the approval of Parliament to remove the CAG. And what is Parliament? Parliament is the legislature of Union government. Parliament is the legislature of central government. So who has the influence, who has more influence over the office of CAG? So definitely central government has the power to remove the CAG, central government has the power to appoint the CAG. So CAG is highly influenced by the central government. So what happens, friends, many a times state governments complain of the biased nature of the working of this office. What does it mean? It means that state governments complain that the office of CAG works in the favor of central government. Even if there is some fault, there is some scam in the accounts of central government, then also CAG ignores it. But even if there is no scam, there is no fault in the accounts of state government, then also on the pressure of central government, the office of CAG, what he does, he makes fake report, and what he says that there is some fault, there is some scam in your accounts. Okay, so friends, center misuse the office of CAG against the states for political reason. So for example, imagine there is Congress. For example, imagine there is BJP government at the center, and some state is ruled by Congress government. Okay, now as the office of CAG means CAG is under the influence of central government. So now central government has the power to pressurize. So what central government will do? Central government will pressurize the CAG, and central government will force him to make a fake report. Even if there is no scam, even if there is no fault in the accounts of the state, then also central government will force the CAG to find the mistakes, to find the scam, to make a fake report, and to declare that there is some scam in the accounts of state. Okay, and now central government will get the power to punish the states. Why? Because state is not working as per the provisions of the constitution. Why? Because what is written in the constitution, that there should not, means according to the constitution, there should be no scam in the accounts of the state government. Okay, according to constitution, there should be corruption free environment in the state. Okay, and if there is something mismatch in the account, means if there is something scam in the account, then it proves that there is corruption in the state, and then it means that state is not running as per the provisions of the constitution, and then central government gets the power to punish the states. Okay, so what happens, friends, that central government often misuses the office of CAG against the state governments for their political reasons. Okay, so friends, this feature also indicates that the Indian constitution is highly unitary in nature. Okay, now let's move further to the 11th unitary feature of the Indian constitution. So friends, what are all India services? So they are a kind of civil servants. So friends, civil servants civil services can broadly be classified into three categories. So I hope that you all must have listened about civil services in your life, and you all know that you are also preparing for civil services. So first of all, you should try to understand that what is civil services. Okay, so friends, civil services can broadly be categorized into three categories. Okay, the first category is union civil services or union civil servants, then state civil servants, and then all India services. So there are three categories of civil servants. The first category is central civil servants, second category is state civil servants, and the third category is all India services. So who are central civil servants? So friends, central civil servants are those officers who are appointed by the central government. Okay, so central civil servants are those officers who are appointed by the center, and they are under the control of center. Means center has the power to punish them, center has the power to remove them, and they work only for center. Okay, so they only work for the central government. They only work under the central government. For example, IRS officer. Okay, so who is IRS officer? IRS officer is a central civil servant. Indian Foreign Service. So who is a Indian Foreign Service officer? He is a central civil servant. IRTS officer. So who is a IRTS officer? He is a central civil servant. Now who are state civil servants? So friends, state civil servants are those officers who are appointed by the state. They are under the control of the state, means state government has the power to remove them, to punish them, and they work only for the state, means they work only under the control of state. Now, for example, we can see that SDM. SDM means Deputy Collector, Tehsildar, Ranger. Okay, DSP means Deputy Superintendent of Police. So they are those officers who are appointed by the state. They work for the state and they are under the control of the state. So they are categorized under state civil servants. Now friends, the third category is all India services. All India services. So who are the officers of AIS? So friends, currently there are three services which comes under AIS. So the first service which comes under all India services is IAS officers, Indian Administrative Service. The second post which comes under AIS is IPS officers, Indian Police Service. And the third post which comes under AIS, means all India services, is IFS officers. IFS means Indian Forest Service. Indian Foreign Service is a central civil servant, but Indian Forest Service is a officer of all India service. Now friends, what is this all India service? So the officers of all India service are those officers who are appointed by the center. Okay, now listen to me carefully. They are the officers who are appointed by the center. Okay. Now friends, these officers are appointed by the center. They are under the overall disciplinary control of center. Now what does it mean? It means that central government has the power to punish them. Central government has the power to remove them. But friends, these officers largely work for the states. So these officers work for the state and center also. So now please catch the difference carefully. So AIS officers are those officers who are appointed by center. They can be removed by center, but they work for state as well as center. So they work for both. They work for state as well as they work for center. So who are central civil servants? Central civil servants work only for center. State civil servants work only for states. But all India's, the officers of all India service work for center as well as states. So they work for both. Okay. So please try to understand this very carefully, that central civil servants only work for center. State civil servants only work for state, but the officers of all India service work for center as well as state. Okay, so when you will become IAS officer, okay, so most of the aspirants who are preparing for UPSC, they actually want to become IAS or IPS. Okay, so friends, IAS and IPS means Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Service. They both are all India services. Okay, so then you will work for center as well as you will also get a chance to work for states. Now friends, what happens that under Article 312 of the Indian Constitution, Rajya Sabha can authorize the Parliament to create one or more All India service. Okay, means under Article 312 of the Indian Constitution, Rajya Sabha has this power. Okay, so Rajya Sabha has this power that Rajya Sabha can authorize the Parliament to create one or more All India service. For example, currently there are 3 All India services, IAS, IPS and IFS. But if Rajya Sabha authorizes the Parliament that now you can create one more All India service, then Parliament can also create one more All India service. Okay, now friends, to what majority is needed? Okay, so if Rajya Sabha has to authorize the Parliament to create one or more All India service, then Rajya Sabha has to pass a resolution by a special majority of more than 2/3 of the members present and voting. Okay, so this type of bill can only be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Okay, this type of bill can only be introduced in Rajya Sabha, and if Rajya Sabha passes the resolution by a special majority of more than 2/3 of the members present and voting, then Parliament gets the power to create one or more than one All India services. Okay, so if Rajya Sabha pass the resolution, then Parliament will be able to create one All India service or more than one All India service. Okay, now friends, these AIS officers are appointed by center. They come under the overall disciplinary control of center. Okay, means who appoints the EIS officer, who appoints the IAS officers, IPS officers, IFS officers? Central government appoints the EIS officers. And who can remove them, who can punish them? Central government can punish them. But friends, now here comes the point that these EIS officers largely work for the state government. So they work for the state government and they work for the central government, but they largely work for the state government. And friends, I am telling you that all the cream posts, means all the top positions in any states are occupied by these EIS officers. For example, what are the top posts in a state? For example, district collector. So who is district collector? Definitely an IAS officer is a district collector. Who is commissioner? IAS officer. Who are the head of secretariats? IAS officer. Who is the chief secretary of chief minister? Definitely IAS officer is the chief secretary. Who is the DGP of the state? IPS officer. Who is superintendent of police? IPS officer. Okay, so DGP is IPS officer. SP is IPS officer. So all the cream posts which are related to the administration of the states are largely held by the officers of AIS, and these AIS officers comes under the overall control of central government. So central government can easily pressurize them. Central government can easily force them to do anything what center wants. So by controlling the AIS officer, central government can influence the state administration. Okay, so this feature of the Indian Constitution also indicates that Indian Constitution is more unitary and less federal. Okay, now friends, let's move further to the 12th unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. So friends, we all know that Indian Parliament has two houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha is the house of people and Lok Sabha is the lower house, and Rajya Sabha is the upper house and Rajya Sabha is the house of states. So what does it mean that Rajya Sabha is the house of states? So house of states means Rajya Sabha is the house for the interest of states. Rajya Sabha represents the interests of states in the union legislature. Why? Because India is a federal country. So in any federal country, there is a separate house for the interest of states. Okay, so what is Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha is the upper house. Rajya Sabha is the house for representing the interest of the states. Okay, now friends, what happens in any true federal country? For example, USA means America is a true federal country. So what happens in any true federal country? That all states are given equal representation or importance in the Council of States. Council of States means upper house. Okay, means the house which represents the interest of the states. So friends, we all know that America means USA is a true federal country. True federal country means the country which follows all the provisions of federalism blindly. Okay, so America is a true federal country. So what happens in America, that we all know that which is the upper house of America. The upper house of America is means the upper house of the Union Legislature of America is known as Senate. Okay, so what is the which is the upper house of America? Senate is the upper house of America. And friends, we all know that there are 50 states in America. So what is the practice? That all the states are given equal representation in the Senate. Okay, no matter what is the population of the state, no matter whether the population of the state is more or less, all the states are given equal representation in Senate. So what is the representation? So what is the scene? That 2 members are elected from each state to the Senate. Okay, so 2 members are elected from each state to the Senate. Okay, so there are 50 states and 2 members are elected from each state. So there are total 100 members in the Senate of America. But friends, what happens in India? That in India there is unequal representation of the states in the Rajya Sabha depending upon the population of the state. What does it mean? So it means that in Rajya Sabha, so what is Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha is the House of States, means Council of States. So what happens in Rajya Sabha? That what happens in Rajya Sabha? That there is no equal representation for the states, means there is unequal representation for the states. And this unequal representation is based on the population of the states. So what does it mean? It means that the states which have more population, so more number of seats are allocated to those states who have more population, and less number of seats are allocated to those states who have less population. Okay, so more the population, more the number of seats in Rajya Sabha, lesser the population, less the number of seats in Rajya Sabha. So what is the practice in India? That in Rajya Sabha seats are allocated on the basis of the population of the state. Means if the population of the state is higher, then more number of seats are allocated, and if the population of the state is less, then less number of seats are allocated. So this is against the feature of federalism. Okay, so again this indicates the unitary behavior of Indian Constitution. Now friends, beside this, what happens? That 12 nominees are appointed by the president in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so 12 nominees are appointed by the president in the Council of State. So what is Council of State? Definitely Rajya Sabha is the Council of State in India. So 12 nominees are appointed by the president. Now friend, these 12 nominees, actually they are appointed by president. Okay, so they will do whatever the president and the central government will say. So they are actually the agents of the center. Okay, so who are they? They are the agents of the center. So I have told you that the total membership of Rajya Sabha is 245. Out of that, 233 members are elected and 12 members are nominated by the President of India. So these 12 members are actually the agents of the central government. They will do whatever the central government will say. Now this is again against the principle of federalism. Okay, so this is again the unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. So friends, till now we have discussed almost all the unitary or non-federal features of the Indian Constitution. So now we have discussed all the federal features as well as the unitary features. So now let's jump to the conclusion. So on the account of the above discussion, what we can conclude? So we can conclude that we are not completely federal. Why? Because though we have some federal features, we have discussed about the federal features of Indian Constitution. So though we have some federal features, then also we also have some unitary features. Means we have some federal features, but we also have more number of non-federal or unitary features. So we can conclude that we are not completely federal. Now what is the next conclusion? We can now conclude that nor we are completely unitary. Means we are not completely unitary. Why? Because though the number of unitary features in the Indian Constitution are more, but we do not have the entire features of the Indian Constitution are not unitary. Though the number of unitary features are more, but there are some federal features in Indian Constitution also. So we can say that we are not completely unitary. So nor we are completely federal, nor we are completely unitary. Okay, so what actually we are? What are we? So we are a federation with a strong unitary bias. Okay, so we can conclude that actually we are a federal country. Why? Because there are two levels of government. There is a distribution of power between center and states. So we are a federation, but actually actually the central government is very, very powerful. So we are a federation with a very strong unitary bias. Okay, so actually we are a federation, but what is the nature of Indian federation? The basic nature of Indian federation is that the central government is very, very powerful and state governments are weak in comparison to the center. Okay, so we are a federation with a strong unitary bias. What does it mean? It means that actually we are federation, but we are more unitary and we are less federal. Okay, so we can conclude that basically we are a federal country. Why? Because we have two levels of government. There is a distribution of power between central government and state government, but we are more unitary. Okay, so we are less federal and more unitary. We are not completely federal. We are not completely unitary. We are little federal and we are more unitary. Okay, so we are a federation with a strong unitary bias. Now friends, this is a unique model of federation not found anywhere else in the world. Okay, so this is a very unique model of federation which is designed in India. And this model of federation is not found anywhere else in the world. That actually we are federation, but we have more number of unitary features than the federal features. Okay, so actually we are federation. The basic nature of the Indian constitution is federation. The basic nature of the Indian constitution is federal. But even though we are federal, then also the unitary features in the Indian constitution are more. So we are federation, but we have a very strong unitary bias. Means we are less federal and we are more unitary. So this is a very specific model. And this model is not found anywhere else in the world except India. And this model is designed in India. Hence we can call ourselves as Federation Sui Generis. Okay, so what are we? We are Federation Sui Generis. Federation Sui Generis means federation of own type. We have designed our federal system ourselves. We have not adopted our federal system from anywhere else. We have not copied our federal system. We have designed our federal system by learning from others. Okay, so we have not copied our federal system. We have designed our federal system by learning from others. So we are Federation Sui Generis means federation of own type. Okay, so please remember this, that India is what you have to remember? You have to remember two things. First of all, we are a federation with a strong unitary bias, and secondly, we are Federation Sui Generis. Federation Sui Generis means federation of own type, federation made by us. Okay. Now friends, let's move further. So friends, now the question arises that why we used union of states instead of federation. So on the basis of our so long discussion, we can conclude that we are federation. Okay, even though we have a more unitary bias, means we have more unitary features than the federal features, then also basically we are federation. Okay, so what is the actual scene? That basically we are federation, but we have more unitary features and less federal features. But the basic features of Indian constitution are federal features, but we have more unitary features and less federal features. So if the basic nature of the Indian constitution is federal, then why didn't we use the word federation? Okay, why officially India is union of states? Why India is not a federation of states? So let's try to find out the answer to this question. So friends, what happened? That Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, means the father of Indian constitution, found that rigidity and legalism were the two serious weaknesses of the federalism. Therefore, he used the word union of states instead of federation of states. So what Bhimrao Ambedkar said, that rigidity and legalism are the two problems. Rigidity and legalism are the two weaknesses of any federalism. And we don't want these weaknesses. We don't want these problems. We don't want our constitution to be rigid. We don't want legalism in our country. That's why we are not adopting the word federation of states. We are adopting the word union of states. Now, what is rigidity and what is legalism? So friends, rigidity means any federal constitution is very, very rigid. It is very difficult to amend any federal constitution. It is actually next to impossible to bring changes to any federal constitution. Okay, so if even if there is the need of time that you have to bring certain changes to your constitution, if certain provisions are outdated, they are creating problems in the country, in the society, then also it is very, very difficult. It is actually next to impossible to change the provisions of the federal constitution. So federal constitution is very rigid. Okay, means you cannot change anything in that. You have to do what is written in the constitution. And the second problem in the any federal constitution is legalism. So what is legalism? Legalism means if you are going to court for every small matter, if you are time and again, if you are again and again going to court for every small matter. For example, if India was a federation, okay, suppose if India were a true federal country, then if India, for example, friends, USA is a true federal country. Okay, we know that USA is a true federal country. So what happens in USA, even if the central government of USA dictates, means even if the central government of USA directs the state government to do certain task. For example, suppose if the railway lines are not if the railway lines are destroyed in some province of USA, okay, and the central government of USA asked the state government to get these railway lines repaired. But friends, according to the provisions of the federalism, central government cannot give direction to the state governments. So this is against the features of federalism. So definitely, now what state government should do? Actually, state government should help the central government, because USA is a very big country. So state government should help the central government in his work. But now what state government will do? Instead of getting the railway line repaired, state government will go to court, and state government will file a case in the court of law against the central government. What central government is doing? Central government is violating the provisions of the constitution. Central government is violating the features of the federalism. Okay, so legalism means you are going to court for every small matter. Okay, so what should happen? What should have happened? That state government should have helped the central government. Why? Because getting a railway line repaired is a very small work. Okay, getting a railway line repaired is a very small work for a state government. And if central government is asking you that please sir, help me and get the railway line repaired for me, I am busy in other works. So what should be done by the state government? That state government should get the railway lines repaired. But instead of getting the railway lines repaired, what they did? They went to court. Okay, they went to court, and then they initiated a legal case in the court of law against the central government, that they have violated the constitution, that they have violated the features of constitution. Okay, friends, this was just a hypothetical example. It is not any real example. It is just an hypothetical example to explain you the concept of legalism. So legalism means time and again you are going to court for every small thing. So this is a problem in any federal constitution, in any true federation. So Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar wanted to avoid these problems. That's why Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar did what? They took the word union of states instead of federation of states. Now friends, what are the other significances that we have adopted the word union of states instead of federation of states? So friends, as we are a union of states, so in India, what happens that states got no permanent identity. Only India means the union is permanently identifiable. Now what does it mean? So I have told you in the previous lecture that under Article 3, Parliament has the power to change the name, area or boundary of a state. Means if Parliament wants, then Parliament can end the existence of a state. Parliament can divide a state into 10 parts. Okay, so the existence or the no existence of the state is dependent on the wish of the parliament. Means in India, states do not enjoy even the right to exist. Okay, so imagine the condition of states in India, that they even do not enjoy the right to exist as an independent unit of federation. Okay, so in India, states do not have any permanent identity. Okay, so for example, we know that Jammu Kashmir and we know that Kashmir was a state. Okay, Jammu and Kashmir was a state. Okay, so earlier it was a state, but now it is a union territory. Okay, so Parliament snatched its special status from Kashmir, and earlier Jammu and Kashmir was a state, but now Jammu and Kashmir is a union territory. Okay, so what happens in India? That in India, states do not have the right to exist. Okay, so this is because we are a union of states, we are not a federation of states, because in any true federation states have the right to exist. For example, we know that there are 50 states in America. So central government means the central legislature do not have the power to change the name of a state. Central government do not have the power to change name, area or boundary of the states in America. Okay, central government cannot end the existence of any state. Central government cannot divide the boundary of any state. Okay, so in America or in any true federal country, what happens that states have a permanent identity. States have the right to exist. Central government cannot end the existence of state. But as we are not a federation of state, we are a union of states. So in India, states do not have any permanent identity. States do not have any right to exist. Parliament can end the existence of the state when Parliament wants. Okay, so only India is permanently identifiable. So only India is permanent, states are not permanent. Now friends, what is the next significance? So states cannot assert themselves beyond a point in front of the center, as it can go against the interest of India. Now what does it mean? So friends, I have told you in the previous lecture that in India states are very notorious. Some states want independence from India, and some states fight with each other for culture and language. Okay. So some states wanted independence from India. Some states fight with each other for culture and language. So now imagine if there is a fight between any one state and the central government, and the state government is saying that no, now we don't want to live with India. Now we want independence. Okay, India is not good for us. So now central government has the power to punish the state government. Central government has the power to dismiss, to remove the government of the state government. Okay, so central government has the power to remove the state government. Central government has the power to impose the precedent rule, means to take the rule of state in its own hand. So what does it mean? It means that in India, center is very, very powerful and states are very big. So states do not have power to fight with center. States cannot assert them. States cannot fight with center beyond a point. States have to bow down towards the center. So if there is any fight between center and state, so who will win? Center will win. So center has to be very powerful to control the states. And at last friends, we know that since we are a union of states, so no state got the right to secede from India. Okay, so we are a union of states. So states do not have the right to separate from India. States do not have right to secede from India. Means states cannot get independence from India. Why? Because only India as a union is one. States do not have any different identity. States do not have any permanent identity. States are just the parts of India. Okay, so in India, states have no permanent identity. Okay, Parliament can change their identity whenever Parliament wants. Okay, so only India is permanent. Only India is identifiable. Only India is eternal. So when states do not have the right, to exist, then how they can get the right to secede from the union? So what happens in India? That in India, states do not have the right to secede from the union. Means states do not have the right to claim their independence. Okay. So friends, now this topic is completed. Friends, this topic is important for mains exam. So please do revise this topic thoroughly and try to think more and more about this topic. Okay, try to think more and more about the federal and unitary features of the Indian Constitution and about this debate. Why? Because in mains exam, your thinking works. You have to think and you have to write instantly. Okay, so please do revise this topic thoroughly. Friends, I have provided the link of notes in the description of the video, and you can also download the notes directly from my blog prashant-ias.blogspot.com. And if you have any doubts, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram ID is prashantias7 and you can ask me doubts there. Okay. So friends, if you have enjoyed the lecture, please press the like button, subscribe to my channel and share this channel to at least 10 people you know who are preparing for UPSC, so that they can also get a lot benefit out of this course. Till then, take care of yourself. Thank you.